when you had Ready Set Create or Creative Productions, it was like how it was. If somebody booked you, cool. If somebody didn't, cool. But it's because your level of investment and your level of commitment was low. You felt low about it. Do you think that's a reason why? Because now it's like your level of investment is much larger, so your level of commitment needs to match that.
Yeah, and that's something that at the time I invest. Like I bought all the stuff. Like I went out and bought the cameras. I bought all the stuff. Like you said, when you have an engineering check coming in, like for me, when I had the engineering check coming in, it wasn't a necessity. Like nothing was a necessity. It was like, this is extra. This is cool. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna go buy something with it. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna go on a trip. Like you know, so it's like nothing was like no, I need this. You know, and so the biggest thing with me is I felt like being a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah, of course it wasn't. It's not. At first, it's not always ideal, or it can be ideal, but like you know, it's like you got to figure out how to make the exact money you want to make it. You know. But for me, I was like, all right, I'm gonna put myself in this situation because I already went and got my MBA, already went and got an engineering degree. So if I fall on my ass, you know, I'm gonna just go back, and I'm gonna jump right back into it. I'm gonna work for 2-3 months, and I'm gonna be right back where I started.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and see what happens.
Welcome to another episode of the Kenyon Sellers Show. I'm your host, Kenyon Sellers, your guide through business brilliance, financial finesse, and the art of personal growth. Today, we've got an awesome guest in the studio. Let's dive into their journey and success story. This is where we laugh, learn, and level up together. So without further ado, let's get into the show. We're here. All right. So today's success story is a young entrepreneur who founded Ready Set Create, an advertising and marketing brand, and just recently launched Kreate Studios, Houston's go-to content creation space. A pioneer in content creation and rapidly building Houston's hottest content creator community. Without further ado, my man, Kahlil.
Oh, what's up, brother?
What's going on?
Man? How you doing?
Good. So, as I mentioned, you know, he owns or created the brand Kreate with a K, right? So, I guess we can just get into your journey of how did you come up with that vision of creating a community around content creation and a space for entrepreneurs and just content creators in general to come vibe out?
So, believe it or not, that's completely left field from where I started, like just anything. Because initially, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer designing like like helmets and like shoes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so I went to college for mechanical engineering, and within, you know, being in college, being in organizations like leading and stuff like that. By the way, I am an Alpha though, so
Shout out to Alpha
You know,
Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
you know, but just like being in that, like I got into like graphic design because, you know, we're hosting events and they're like, oh, you need a flyer, you know? And so because of that, I'm like, well, I'm not about to pay nobody to make a flyer. And everybody else on campus that make flyers is using like the like typical like templates and stuff like that. So I started dabbling in graphic design. And then from there, I started doing like t-shirts and stuff like that, you know, like selling merch on campus. And through it all, instead of doing my engineering homework, I was in the library using their like Adobe Photoshop, using their stuff to like do the stuff that I really wanted to do. And as I, you know, started doing that, I did something with like some YouTube stuff or something like that, like within like the campus, but I never really touched the camera until I actually moved to Houston. I got an engineering job, and they put me in like the middle of nowhere, bro. Like the middle of nowhere. I'm hard hat boots, waking up at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., doing like the outside engineering stuff. And through all that, I was like, man, I do not want to do this. So what happened was I went and I bought a camera to try to just, you know, take my mind off of it. And one of my friends, her name is Vanessa, she asked me to do her like senior photo shoot. And, you know, I did one senior photo shoot, then I did the next, and people just kept paying me to do like, you know, the photo stuff. And through that, I just, you know, found my way. But through it all, I started like being able to book studios and stuff like that because people wanted that type of work. And as I'm matriculating, I'm like, man, these studios, like I can I can put this in my apartment. So I went and I actually had the full studio set in my apartment. I had the backdrops, the lights, all of that. I would have people come in my apartment. I'll put them in my second room, or I'll put them in like the living room. And I'm like, we're just gonna do the photo shoot here. And I came with the idea for Kreate Studios 2 years before, and I didn't like fully believe myself enough to really like do it. And you know, everything happens after that. And I was like, I wanted to combine everything that got me into content creation, like being able to use a computer, being able to, you know, shoot this, or even meet people. I wanted to combine that in a space that like everyone could go to. So
Okay.
yeah, that's the story right there.
Okay. So you basically saying that you stumbled your way into where you are now, and do you think that you've had moments when you were younger that kind of showed you glimpses of, oh, I'm creative and I kind of like this? It's just something that just came as you were in school, or was there ever any moment in your life where you was like, oh yeah, I think now looking back in hindsight.
You know what the craziest thing is though? I didn't start having those moments until probably like I'll say a month or two ago when I went back home for like Thanksgiving, and I went back home for Christmas, and you know, and I'm looking around and you know my house and whatnot, and I'm like, it was always there, but I think I wasn't nurturing what I already had, you know? So like a perfect example was if you look at like my house and everything like that, there's pictures of me, you know, little kid, bro, little kid. I wanted to be a preacher. That's the first thing I wanted to do. So I would go to elementary school in suits. Like I'm not wearing anything but a suit, you know what I'm saying? But because of that, I'm looking around and there's pictures all of like me in like an actual professional studio. Like my mom would take me to go do professional photo shoots, and that's all I did, you know? And so it's like, now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I've been in the studio, you know? And then my mom, she had the camcorder, you know what I'm saying? So because of that, I'm like, okay, recording's been in the family the whole time. Like I have like my like cousin, he just spends the whole time like recording Thanksgiving, like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing where I picked up like everything. Like, you know, like he's like, that's all he cared about. Money. That's all he talk about, you know? Even my sister's super creative. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing how like I'm taking all these pieces from everybody around me, but I didn't realize it until now, you know? And so even my sister, she bought me a camera like when I went to college. It wasn't the camera that I wanted because I couldn't produce the images that I wanted to produce. Right. I want to produce like, you know, top shelf that crispy, quality image, and photos. The camera couldn't do that. But I didn't know at the time. I didn't understand. It might have not been a camera. It might have just been me not knowing how to use it. You know, so it's like I'm like, you know what? I've been doing it, but it just took me time and seeing like I'm doing all this off the strength. And I'm like, bro, you've been doing this. You just not realizing that this is really what you was called to do.
Okay, so what do you say are some of the things that you started to do to start to nurture and start to dive more into the skill set and learn the skills necessary to take your game to the next level? Like you said, it may not have been the camera, it may have been you, or it may not have been the lighting. You just didn't know how to like properly utilize the lighting. Like, what are some of the things that you started to do to get more into the craft, or more to dive deeper into creating content or photos or recording?
I would say, bro, I really just kept doing stuff. And it was ironic because it's like I say that I kept doing stuff with the graphic design. That's something like I could do like naturally. Of course, understanding like, you know, the principles and stuff like that. But I'm someone who like have this unique ability where I can see things in my head without like closing my eyes or nothing. Like I can like paint the whole 3D picture. I'm an engineer, you know, at heart, kind of. So because of that, like even, you know, 3D drawings and stuff like that, being able to see an image, how it looks from different angles. So I'm seeing this in my head, but I'm nurturing it by just like doing stuff. And because of it, someone's asking me, hey, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I'm someone I believe I can do anything. But ironically, people kept asking me to do stuff with the camera, graphic design, stuff like that. So as I'm doing different type of stuff, they're like, what's your style? I'm like, whatever you want, bro. Like, and I'm not realizing that like people actually like, they're like, oh, this is my style, this is my style. I'm like, bro, whatever y'all want, tell me, I'll just go do it. So I would just say that's pretty much how I've been nurturing my skills. Just every time someone says they want something like this, I just do it.
Try to work on it. Okay. Yeah. So what is do you have a why, or do you have a significant reason of why you decided to just lean more into it, lean all the way in or go all in? Because you're a full-time entrepreneur now, right?
Yeah.
So what was that? What is that moment, or what are those moments that caused you to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go full-time entrepreneur. I'm not gonna work nowhere. I'm not going like, I'm gonna go all in with this dream, with this vision, with this idea.
I would say there's like three different things I can name. You know, I would say one, all my life I've been naturally like good at things, you know? And so because of that, like, you know, being able to be smart, being able to do this, being able to do that, you're just naturally good at stuff. So I feel like because of that, I've never really like synced in on something and was like, this is what I'm going to do. Outside of, you know, engineering school is hard, but there was a point in it where I found out a way to get the degree. You know what I'm saying? And so even then, I'm doing everything. I'm always having my one foot in this, one foot in this, one foot in this. And, you know, the biggest thing that I started reading books. The first book was like Think and Grow Rich, you know? And so one of the things in the book is like, you know, you can be a master of all, or, you know, you can be a master of one. So I was like, what can I do to like make myself a master? You know, I wanted to be able to, like, I do this very well, you know? And so because of that, I think I just found it naturally. Then I had one of my friends, his name is Austin. He kept telling me this like all last year, like really a year in advance. He was like, bro, this is gonna be your last year being like working a job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on now, bro. Like, I gotta make money, bro. I gotta eat. And he just keep telling me this. And it wasn't until like he just kept telling me this, and I was like, bro, I'm trying to do something. Like I just kept I'm trying to figure it out first before, you know? He just kept telling me, bro, you already figured it out. Like, bro, you already figured it out. And I don't know, something just clicked when he told me that. I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? And then I started believing in it a little bit more. Like, okay, like, I can really do this. Like, he's like, bro, like, you don't understand, like, who you are. Like, you know, I'm like, I'm still not, like, understanding or processing anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, 'cause, you know, you're programmed to you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You work a
Right.
job, make
Right.
your money,
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to New York in March, and we went to this restaurant called Melba's, and it was like a group of older ladies. It was probably about 4 or 5 of them, and I think they was taking a picture. I glanced over at them, you know, looked away because I'm like, it's none of my business. And the lady, one of the ladies, older lady, she leaned over to my girlfriend and was like, he's so shy, and I don't know why. It just like it just kept like bothering me. I'm like, she don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, I was like, you know what? I have a feeling like I've been scared to be who I really wanted to be my whole life. Not because of me, or like I scared I'm gonna fail, but it's because I'm scared of like
The success more so.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you
light.
know, that they say that like your deepest fear is not that you're inadequate. Your deepest fear is that you're powerful beyond all measure. So because of that, I think I just been like, I don't know, like scared that I can really do it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it, man.
Okay, so you named a lot of people and individuals. What kind of emphasis do you put on your support system, and what kind of role does your support system play in you being where you are now and continuing on your journey? Like what role does your support system play in your success?
I would say like my family, my mom, my sister, you know, my grandma, like those, like they come in the clutch. Like even my aunts, like, you know what I'm saying? They come in the clutch, like when I need it. And I'm someone I'm very, you know, I'm a prideful person. So I don't always know how to like ask for help, you know? And then of course there's like my girlfriend who like, that's the person I see like every day. So she right there with me. Like, and it takes me some time to be able to like take the load off and be like, this is what I'm going through, you know? But I would say that they're more of a support system, but they're really like that motivation. Because I know that if I do exactly what I say that I want to do, and I've written down and I'm practicing towards whatever, then like they're good, you know? So they're like the support system and motivation. And my friends around me, like as I've been, you know, matriculating or, you know, growing and stuff like that, I'm realizing the people that are coming to my life, they're all like same thing. They want to do this. They want to do this. And so they serve as more of like that reminder. Like I see a friend working, like my homie Randy, like I see him in the studio doing cold calls all day, looking stressed. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I need to pick it up. You know, so I just say that the world is constantly giving you reminders and things that you need to do around you, and like your support system, your friends, like either they're gonna be some people that like help bring you up, or they're gonna bring you down. I just chose people that bring me up, you know. So
Okay. So.
I gotta ask you some questions though.
Oh, okay. Come on.
You asked good
Okay.
questions.
Come on.
So how did you get like started in entrepreneurship? Like I really want to know that.
Yeah.
It's a conversation now.
Yeah. So for me, I always tell the story of it started when I was young. I realized it young and I nurtured it young. So I'm blessed and fortunate to have seen what I wanted to do my whole life, right? So I'm 6, 7, 8 years old, creating and coming up with things to sell, things to do. And it's like ironic that, now that I'm fully embracing my last name, Sellers, people always like, oh my God, you got the perfect last name. It's just like, now it looks like it. I used to didn't like it, right? I used to try to create names away from my name and do everything, like create these different names.
Why?
I don't know. I guess it was back to what you said. I was fearful of how successful my name could actually be. I was fearful of leaning more into my name and trying to create this alter ego or this alternative, this outside thing versus just be the thing. So for me, I was always coming up with things. So when I was around like 7 or 8, I loved art. I still love art, but I used to be real good at drawing. So I used to draw cartoon characters at the time.
Same.
And so at the time it was, Tweety Bird and Sylvester and SpongeBob and things like that. So I used to draw those, and I literally used to go door to door to a lot of the elders in the community and say, hey, could you buy my drawing? I just drew this. I used to sign it on the bottom, laminate it, and make it a whole piece of art. And people used to give me $20, $10 here and there. And then as I got older, I got a little more into like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, and that was a big thing at the time. People was trading and paying money for cards. I mean, now it's even bigger because it's so much time that went past. But if I'd have known that ahead of time, I'd have kept a lot of them cards. But I used to get into that game and trading cards at school. And hey, give me $20, I'll give you this blue eyes white dragon, whatever. So I've always been trying to find a way and paying attention to people and what they like, and finding a way where I can give them what they like at a value. And then as I got a little bit older, of course, started doing things like flipping water cases. So I used to buy a case of waters and go up to the corner, and cars driving by, hey, I got ice cold water in the summertime underneath a tree, just me. Sometimes it was my homeboy, sometimes it was just me, but I was always looking to make some money. And a lot of it was rooted in the fact that I grew up without a lot of money. So I never wanted to ask my mom for money. I never wanted to ask my family for money because I know they had it, but they didn't have it to give me for what I wanted to use it for. They had to pay bills. And so it's like I said, I'm blessed and fortunate to have that mindset and think like that at a young age. So for me, it was always entrepreneurship, and I've always known that. And then as I, continued on through life, I started paying attention. I love numbers. I absolutely love numbers. I've always had A's in math. I've always been really good at identifying trends and things like that. So when it came time to get ready to go to college, in high school, I didn't know nothing about college. Nobody in my family talked about that. Everybody just worked. Nobody talked about college and being, something great and da-da-da. So I had to figure out a lot of that in college. And thankfully, I placed myself in one of the best schools in the state at the time because I knew I had the grades for it. So I'm like, okay, well, at least if I'm gonna go to high school, I'm gonna go to the best high school. What's the best high schools? And I looked at the score requirements and all. I'm like, bet I aced my SAT. I aced everything in order to get into that school because I always wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing. So I got into the school, and then the guidance counselor, like I said, everything was kind of at the right, because we didn't have guidance counselors until it was time for us to start getting ready. My class get ready to go to college. We didn't have anybody pressing college at that school. So we didn't even know about it until our junior year, really. So it was like freshman to sophomore year, we had guidance counselors, but they wasn't, hey guys, start thinking about college. Our class didn't get that until junior year. And thankfully we did. And then I still didn't know about it because I'm like, what the heck is college? Like, I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know where to go. I didn't know what a major was and stuff like that. But me knowing that I like business and math and numbers, I was like, okay, well, let me do some Google researching. And I came up with business degree in accounting. I'm like, cool, I'll just go for it. And then when I got into school, still entrepreneurship spirit, I used to sell these kits called Kinswear. So it's my name Kenyon, so Kinswear is like menswear. And I'm big on dress and I'm big on presentation. So when I was, like you said, when you were younger, you used to wear a suit to school. I used to wear a suit every day in college. Like every time I'm going to class, dressing up. I got a full suit on. If I don't got a full suit on, I'm in very business casual wear. I used to dress to a T because I carried it that way, and that was my brand. It still is. And I created these kits where you get a tie or a bow tie, a pocket square. You know, it was around that time where it was very trendy to have your tie clip look like with the glasses on, or a diamond studded tie clip, and all these different fashion accessories. And I put it into a kit, and I sold those kits. And so if you was a young, prestigious black gentleman at a HBCU, that was the target audience. You buy this kit, you just need to have a suit and a shirt, and the rest of it is in this kit. So just constantly reinventing the way I'm doing business, and then I always create business from things that I like and things that I enjoy. So that's always been the trend, and like I said, it's just innately been in me the whole time to just look for opportunity and look for things that I enjoy doing, and then how can I package that into a value proposition for everybody else to enjoy as well.
You get into value proposition, so you really understand how to create an offer, how to, you know what I'm saying, do all of that.
I wouldn't say yes and no. I would say I'm digging more into that because, like I said, I've always been raw with business. I've always been raw with entrepreneurship, and like I said, God willing and grateful, I've always been just super talented in the area of numbers, business, money, finance, economics, like all those classes and courses. I always used to literally just sit there and like, I feel like I know this already. Like I may not know the nuances and some of the like technical terminology, like you just said, packaging an offer. I didn't know what that was until like the last year. I just, I put together a package of items or whatever it is. This is for you. I'm selling this to you. But I didn't know that was a target audience. I didn't know that I was a value proposition and, all those different brand and things. I didn't know what that stuff was until the last year or two when I really dove deeper into entrepreneurship and started building bigger things, I would say. So.
And so, bro, I freaking love that because me, like the same thing. Like I'm realizing all the stuff I've been doing is what I should be doing, but I just now understand the technical terms behind it because I didn't go to school for business. I didn't go to school for anything like that. Right. So all of this is like new. I just naturally, you just naturally know what you're doing,
right.
you know? So that's super cool to see. And I see that you have a team. So how did you end up like getting a team? Like, what was that process? Like, why did you feel like you needed a team?
That's a great question because I would say, not to knock anything I did pre-2019. Like I said, all those things I listed was pre-2019, but I graduated from Bowie State University in 2018. And from 2018 to 2019, I was just figuring out that first year after college. It was just figuring stuff out, figuring out what the heck I'm actually do. But then 2019 is when I started to build brand and build customer base and things like that. And doing all those things myself, it gets strenuous, it gets hard, it gets difficult. And it's like, I'm not the best at everything, and I don't want to be the best at everything. How can I start to surround myself with people who may be better at that one thing that, of course, I can shift my focus and just, raise that up to be a strength. But at the same token, I would rather put somebody in an opportunity to showcase their skill set and what they're great at. And I would say a lot of it is due to, I used to work at FedEx. I just recently left FedEx in May of this year, and I worked there for 5 years. And the first 2 years, I've been a manager almost the whole time. I came in as a entry-level package handler and became a manager within 2 months. And from being a manager there, it kind of showed me leadership in a huge way. Like I said, that first 2 years was kind of rough. But after that, once I was like, all right, I'm tired of going in here. If this is going to be my place of work, I want to be great at what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm always looking to be the best at whatever it is I'm doing. I'm trying to kill it. So I'm like, how can I come in here and dominate every day? Well, I'm in a leadership position. I'm in a leadership role, and I got people that's coming in here at 2 or 3 in the morning. I got to motivate them. I got to get them ready to go every day, even if they, because not everybody's going to come in here ready to go. So I started diving into leadership, how to lead a team, how to manage, figuring out my management style, things like that, and understanding the importance of a team because one person can't do everything. So it's like, me noticing that at FedEx translated over into my business stuff. I got deeper into, I started off as a financial coach. I was financial coaching, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. But I'm taking the calls, I'm doing the discovery calls, the intro calls, the onboarding, the offboarding, all of the work that's attached to it, the admin, the this, to that. I'm like, all right, how can I get better at business? That's when I started diving into, all right, what are some things I can do and implement to help alleviate some of this? And it was like a lot of the things I was hearing at the time was build a team, build a team, build a team, build a team. You need a team. Like you can't go far without a team. So it's like, okay, cool. Let me start. I started, just positioning people, and I always look at people that's around me first, like in my lifestyle. So at the time I was at FedEx, it was a young lady I was grooming at the time to become a manager there. But I'm like, okay, well, if this doesn't work out for you there, how about you start learning some of the things I got going on over here? I'm gonna show you how to take the intro calls for my financial coaching, get people lined up and ready to sign on board to be, get their finances together, whatever it is. So she jumped on board, and that was my first like employee. And so from there, it's just like I'm always identifying how can I place you who is showing me potential, who's showing me that you have more within inside you, but you don't see it. How can I get you to see it? And how can I get you to do it in a way where I'm helping you see it and raise your standard and groom you to become better than what you are right now? So for me, it's always just meeting people and then seeing, okay, how can we work together and how can we both make each other better? So it's never really about like, oh, I need this person to just take this stuff off my plate. It's no, yeah, take this off my plate, but how can I also add to your plate? So that's how I look at building team. And then finding people now is more about, like I said, just meeting people and making connections. And a lot of times people will tell you what they want to do is like, just listen. And maybe they telling you what they want to do, and then they're going to go do something else because they don't have somebody to say, hey, you said you want to do this. Get back over here. Hey, you said you want to do this. You said you want to do, because everybody knows ultimately or feels some type of way about things that they want to do. But when we face life, like you said, we're programmed. We got to go make this money. I want to do this, but let me go. I got to pay bills. I got to do that. I want to do this, but I got to go. It's like, all right, look, I get that piece. But if I can help alleviate some of that, let's get you back over here to what you want to do. So.
Hey, man. That's dope, man. I'm sitting here listening. I feel like at the same time, I'm listening, but I'm learning as well, because I feel like I have a lot of things under my belt, but it's always dope hearing like other entrepreneurs talk and see how they think and see what things that they implement, because as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, he's right, you know what I'm saying? But I would say one of the first things I always do when I talk to people, it be seeming super direct sometimes. They'd be like, they tell me like what they doing and stuff like that. I'm like, so what do you really want to do? And they always look at me with this like look of like what are you talking about? I'm like, what do you really want to do? And then they think for a little bit, and then they actually tell you like, oh, I actually want to be like an art director. I want to be a creative director. I want to be this. And I'd be like, oh, why don't you just say that?
Right.
So
yeah, it's like guiding conversations to the authentic person. Like I don't want to talk to what you do. I want to talk to who you are.
Yeah.
Like who are you? Like don't tell me what you do. Who are you?
Yeah.
Like if you are creative directing, cool, because that means you live, sleep, and breathe it. But if you just do it as a job, I don't care about that. Who are you? Like
Fair.
I am entrepreneurship. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I've always done it. I'm always thinking about things to create. I'm just purebred. Okay, I might see, an opportunity like AI. Okay, when AI becomes a thing, I'm going to start thinking, okay, how can I create a AI that does a specific thing to help people do? Like I'm just always in creative mode. Like how can I create something outside of myself, but that's also a part of me to help other people. Like that's just me. So I would say I'm entrepreneur. I'm entrepreneurship. Like I'm not gonna say, hey, I own a business. I do. No, I'm an entrepreneur because that's who I am and that's what I do. Now it's like I said, you just got to get people to speak to who they are and not what they do, because who they are will always supersede what they do. Because I always give this analogy as like thermometer and thermostat. Thermometer just reads the temperature. Thermostat sets the temperature. What's your thermostat set to? If your thermostat is set to entrepreneurship, the thermometer might be reading architect. It might be reading accountant. It might be reading whatever, but it's always going to bring it back down to the temperature of entrepreneur, because that's what your internal thermostat is set at. So it's like no matter what you're doing, it don't matter. You're going to always come back to that root of your gift and who you are and what you are.
See, man, that's super good. And everything that I said in the beginning is exactly what you just said.
Yeah, because it's like your thermostat was set to be where you are. Just you were doing external things, and that was your thermometer reading and testing. And I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's like ultimately your thermostat said no. It brought you back, and it brought you to where you're supposed to be. So with that, I would say my question now would be, what are some of the challenges and how did you overcome them in your journey to creating, your overall brand and then your two individual brands? Because it looks like there's two separate things, right? You already said Create, and then you have Create Studios. What are some of the largest obstacles and challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
That's really good. I would say when it comes to just creating, like the first part, like the Ready Set Create, when it comes to Create Productions, that's something. The challenge was always that I never took that seriously. I had an engineering job, so I would do Ready Set Create. I would do that Create on the side. Now I was building everything like that because I studied branding. Like I'm somebody where I'm like I there was a point where all I wanted to understand was branding. You know what I'm saying? Marketing, branding, stuff like that. So I would say the hardest part with that is just like getting into a mode to where I'm taking it serious, because everybody's telling me like, yo, you cold with the camera. Yo, take that more serious, And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I would say the hardest thing with that was like getting myself tuned in to take it serious. I would say with the studio is a little bit different because there's actual physical challenges. The production company is like, I have a camera. If nobody hits me up, I'm cool. Like, I was cool. You know what I'm saying? But with the studio, it's like I need people to check out the studio page. I need people to, look at that. So I would say the hardest thing with the studio is two separate things. So the first one was just building the space. Being able to get into it, get the leasing and stuff like that, and then how do I make it into the vision that I want to make it? I'm staying up 3 a.m., 4 a.m., painting walls. I'm planning at night in the day. All right, I got to accomplish this and that, so it's the hard. I think the studio was the challenge, but it was like the blessing in disguise because it tuned me into like, all right, you have to do this. Like it got to a point where it's like I set the date for like October 14th. I was all right, I'm open October 14th, and I had to do everything to get it ready for October 14th. But even with the studio, there's just so much that like I just don't know about business that I'm learning, and it's like that's getting in me to like, okay, understanding all the permits, understanding everything that's required that I might have missed because my brain was just in go mode, and then on the second side of that, now that the studio's here, the biggest challenge for me, or the biggest thing that I'm more so involved in, is like the creating the offer, the selling strategy. How do I get people to not just see my stuff, but actually book my stuff, act on it, and that's like the golden ticket for an entrepreneur. Like once you figure out sales, I feel like everything is so easy. And me, I did it backwards. If you listen to a lot of the business people, like millionaires, billionaires, whatever, they always tell you what I would do is I would go into sales first, and then from sales I articulate into everything else, right? I did it backwards. So I started with like branding, how things look, how things feel, how they motivate people, how people feel inspired. I started with that. And so now it's like my matriculation is going to, I think that's the right word, matriculation, but it's going towards like, okay, now how do I make this perfectly branded machine into a selling machine, like a money printer? And once those two things is like combined, you can really do anything, because now I understand how to make someone feel this way. I understand, I see you reading the book, this is marketing. Like, so I was reading all the branding books, this is marketing. All of those type of books to understand like marketing. But then you get into it, it's like marketing, everybody likes it. My page is growing at a good rate, but it's like, what's the next part? And the next part is like sales. The next part is making your offer. The next part is that. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges now, is just understanding that outside of like the business stuff, it comes, it's highs and lows. my AC broke, my heater broke. Like it'd be like different things just pop up out of nowhere, and it's like you just got to figure it out. You
Yep.
know, like every time I spend some money on something that I'm like, oh, this is so crazy. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make it back. Figure out a way to make it
Yep.
back.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is just figuring out how to keep your faith. You know what I'm saying, through it all.
It's crazy. My cousin Eric, he me and him had a conversation maybe about a month ago. He was just like, listen, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, you're just really good at figuring it out. Like you make it all up and you figure it out. He's like, it's like, you just spoke to it. It's like, figure it out. It's nothing really to, no other way to really put it. I guess in layman's terms, just figure it out. Like, but you said when you had Ready Set Create or Creative Productions, it was like how it was, if somebody booked you, cool. If somebody didn't, cool. But it's because your level of investment and your level of commitment was low. You felt low about it. Do you think that's a reason why? Because now it's like your level of investment is much larger, so your level of commitment needs to match that.
Yeah, and that's something that at the time I I bought all the stuff. Like I went out and bought the cameras. I bought all the stuff. Like you said, when you have an engineering check coming in, like for me, when I had the engineering check coming in, it wasn't a necessity. Like nothing was a necessity. It was like, this is extra. This is cool. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna go buy something with it. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna go on a trip. Like you know, so it's like nothing was like no, I need this. You know, and so the biggest thing with me is I felt like being a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah, of course it wasn't. It's not. At first, it's not always ideal, or it can be ideal, but like you know, it's like you got to figure out how to make the exact money you want to make it. You know. But for me, I was all right, I'm gonna put myself in this situation because I already went and got my MBA, already went and got an engineering degree. So if I fall on my ass, you know, I'm gonna just go back,
right back.
and I'm gonna jump right back into it. I'm gonna work for 2-3 months, and I'm gonna be right back where I
Yeah,
started.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
and because of that, I'm seeing that like there's another level of effort that I can take it to, and like. I'm gonna go back to the problems thing. When you're actually putting in effort, problems are gonna happen. They say more money, more problems, but it's supposed to happen.
Right.
As you do more effort, you're putting yourself in way of problems. But as they say, the more problems you solve, the more money you make.
Right.
So
Right.
people look at that more money, more problems in the negative, but I look at it in positive. I'm like, if I'm solving a lot of problems, I'm gonna be stacking.
Right. Right.
Because I'm solving problems for other people. Oh,
Your problems will be solved.
I'm a solution.
Right.
You know? And so like that's just what it is. But yeah, I would say with the production company, like that's something like as I'm doing the studio, like I'm fine. I'm like, man, I'm good at this camera stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing it and people are telling me, but I'm so focused on creating the studio that like I'm making all this content, and everybody's like, bro, you're like cold. Like, you know what I'm saying? And now it's like, okay, I need to be a two-headed monster because the production company funnels into the studio. The studio funnels into the production company. Right. And then outside of all of that, now you have my personal brand, which I'm actively taking a stamp on, and like, all right, I'm gonna stop being behind the scenes, the cool guy. Like, you know, I'm gonna actually put myself out there and speak and talk because it becomes like a trifecta. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, 3 years ago, I wrote this whole master plan down. It involved the studio, production company, my personal brand, and me having a clothing brand. And then outside all of that, the real estate and, you know, all the other financial stuff. But like that's, you know what I'm saying? It involved like this four-headed monster. And it's like, as I'm progressing, I'm like, oh man, I'm building it. But it's, in my head, I thought it was going a little bit faster, you know? But it's like, as I'm building, I'm like, okay, cool. It's really just me putting that maximum effort in.
So you said in your head it's like fast, but it's like, oh, this is so good. So I just had this epiphany the other day, and it's like the more I listen to stuff, I spend hours on YouTube just learning and blog posting books. Do you appreciate the fact that it takes time now that you're actually in stuff, or do you still think, I still got to get this by tomorrow, I got to get this by next quarter? And it's like, as you learn, like some things you don't want them to come fast because, like you said, the problem's gonna come even faster. So it's like I'm not rushing toward those problems.
Yeah, and I would say that's one thing. Like of course, I want everything to come faster because you know, finances is always good.
Right,
you know?
right.
So, but as a understanding of looking at things from a like a bird's eye view perspective, I'm understanding that like the quicker that I get my foundation and my structure together, like I actually make that, and that takes time, I'm going to be able to go so much higher. And I see that, and it's like it's the back and forth in my head. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go, but I'm like, okay, if I get my foundation set, then I can really go.
Right.
You know, because I'm seeing everything brewing. I'm seeing the pot brewing. I'm like, okay, things are going to come when they're supposed to come, and I'm going to be ready.
Yep. Yep.
And you know, everybody, they says like everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame or something like that. Andrew Warhol said that, I
Right.
think. And it's like, so because of that, I have this internal thing me telling like, your time is gonna come when everybody's gonna be all eyes on you. And
What you gonna do to capitalize?
is if I take the time to, you know, set my foundations right, lay out everything I need to lay out, make sure can't nobody tell me nothing legally, you know, all that stuff like that, then I'm gonna be able to step into those doors that are open and ready for me in a way better way, you know. So the pace is needed, but in my mind is like now. Well, or maybe it's one or two. One part of me is like I need it now. The other part is like when your time comes, it's gonna be amazing. So
Right.
just let it happen. You know.
Yeah, I always tell my team, stay ready so we ain't got to get ready. So we always ready, we always on, we always prepare for an opportunity. Like you said, that 15 minutes of fame can come walking in the door at any moment. If if we're not ready and we unprepared, we miss the opportunity. And you never want to be in a position where you miss the opportunity because who knows when the next one is going to come. It's like be prepared at all times for any opportunity. And whatever the opportunity may look like for you, be prepared. Work on all assets in all phases of your life. Don't overindulge in one particular area, life, business, or anything. You just kind of want to be prepared for everything. So definitely for the pace, but want it now because I'm one who I compress times. So like if I know something's gonna take a year, let's get this done in 4 months. It's like because us stressing and trying to get it done in 4 months, we may actually get it done in 6. But if I say let's get it done in a year, it's called the Pareto's principle. I'm not sure you're Pareto's principle is you give yourself enough time to do something, you're gonna do it in that time frame. It's a counter to procrastination. We procrastinate because we give ourselves so much time. It's like in school when we get the syllabus. Oh, that paper ain't due until the end of the semester. Then the end of the semester comes like, oh, I gotta do this paper. It's like you knew the paper was due when you got the syllabus 4 months ago, but you decided to wait because you knew you had 4 months. So it's like compressed times, but also like you said, if you can only compress it so much if you don't have a foundation, because then you'll crush yourself. So that's good. So the last thing I want to get into is branding and personal brand because you spoke to that, and that's heavily where I'm focused at right now. And your brand, Ready Set Create, is all about telling people stories and helping people portray their stories through media, through content. What are some tips or what are some things that you've learned as you matriculated through being cold with the camera and working with different people, different brands, different artists? Like, what are some of the key things that you would say are like these are the things that everybody should at least start with or do when it comes to telling a brand story or personal brand story?
I would say when it comes to branding, the biggest thing is when it comes to a business, know your target audience. If you know your target audience, you can build everything around your target audience. When it comes to personal branding, it's all about being authentic and finding what type of content that you can make that doesn't feel forced. Because I feel like everybody feels like it's like they can see when it's forced, so they can feel when it's forced, you know? And I noticed some of my videos, even me personally, the videos that I make personally, when it's something where I'm like, I'm not even like
Thinking hard.
I'm just trying. Those are videos that go like I can see the boost of engagement or the boost of everybody. Oh my goodness. It'd be the videos when I actually sit down and edit a video and add all the
Chop it up.
and like I'm like, this is a great video. This was on a TV screen for a commercial. Nobody would blink. But those are the videos that don't go crazy on my page. But on my personal page, if I get on there and I talk and I say something, people will comment. People will say something. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm seeing it like I was being scary enough, like scary to talk, but it's
Mhm.
like you have to talk. So I would say advice for personal branding is finding what type of content, or really what do you do naturally, you know? Because
Mhm.
some people, they can make those videos where like they dance in front of the camera and they go crazy, but that's them.
Mhm.
Some people, it may not even be them talking. It could just be them doing an aesthetic video with like words over it, you know?
Mhm.
So I think the personal brand is all about what feels good to you, you
Mhm.
know? Um, when it comes to business, it's like knowing your target audience, and then once you know your target audience, like looks wise, aesthetics wise, it's all the looks, the colors, what colors, how the colors make you feel. The reason why I picked orange for the studio page because of how it makes people feel like creative, or like, you know, it's a
Enthusiastic.
blend of like red, which is like super poppy,
Mhm.
and yellow, which is super like, you know, but it's
Vibrant.
like
Mhm.
it's a blend to where like, oh, I feel creative, or,
Perfect medium.
you know, and it's like with the studio page, I use literally every color I can use because I'm like, you just got to be creative, you
Mhm.
know? So it's like everything is all about, for me, how someone can perceive you on the other end. You know, when it comes to branding, I was reading a book or something that was like, when you think about branding, think about if Apple made a car, you kind of have an idea of what the car would look like, how it
Mhm.
would feel, what it would
Some of
be
the
like.
features and
Features, like you be like, okay, I know it'd be super sleek, like
Mhm. Mhm.
the interior would go crazy, like the outside probably would look super sleek, like a little pencil, or it
Mhm.
would look
Mhm.
super cool, right? But then if I ask you, bro, what do you think, I don't know, Taco Bell car would look like? You like,
I don't
I
do
don't,
that.
I don't really, I have an idea, but you could probably, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's how I try to approach it. It's like, if you could look at Create Studios and think, what type of car would they have? You can think. If you can just have an idea, then I'm doing something right.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
And so to wrap it up, one thing that I take utmost importance in is recharging as an entrepreneur and as a creative. What are some things that you do to recharge, regroup, get grounded, get yourself back together? Like, what are some of the practices that you do to keep a level head, because it gets stressful, it gets tough, it gets very difficult, and it can be overwhelming. What are some
Yeah.
things you do to maneuver and work through that?
You know, I would say everything that I do, I it doesn't feel like work for me.
Hmm.
So, not necessarily it's for, how can I say it? So for me, recharging is literally just sitting still. Like if I can have my moment or two, because I'm always around people.
Hmm.
Like studio, there's people there. I'm
Hmm.
always like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? And then of course I have my girlfriend. So every time we're together, I'm super locked in. I'm very intentional. When I'm around people I want to be around, I'm like intentional to be locked in. But to ground myself, I think it comes a time when I like listen to music.
Hmm.
I like sit still. And now, I mean, I this whole year I've been working out. So I feel like working out is super beneficial. Like I go run the park, you know, I do a mile,
Hmm.
2 miles or whatever, and it's a moment where my mind is just blank.
Hmm.
My favorite thing to do, oddly enough, is car rides. 8 hour car. I live in, my family's from Oklahoma, so
Hmm.
I drive up to Oklahoma, which is like 6 hours, 7 hours, and like imagine you just sit in the car and you can't do anything. I can barely be on my phone because, you know, I
Gotta
may
be attention.
crash. So either I'm listening to like I'm listening to a book or something, or sometimes I just sit there and drive and just silence, you
Hmm.
know? And so I think my thing is silence.
You know, it's so crazy, man. You pointed at this the first time we met, and then today you pointed at it before we hopped on. Is how we are similar, and you can see the similarities. And you saying all of that, I'm a very much like that. So I no longer do it. It's on pause right now. But my transportation company, we drove trucks and delivered items and stuff like that. And when you spoke to driving and how driving is something that is like therapeutic, I used to tell people that all the time. It's like dang, you always driving. You putting in all that work for your company. It's like, yeah, but those drives cleared my mind. Like me driving 3 hours to Louisiana, I'm locked in. Like I may not even be listening to nothing the whole drive. 3 hours over, 3 hours back. But the time I just got to sit with myself and just clear my head and like process things and like, because it's like like you said, we're always around people. We're on the go, busy, 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 but you don't have time to just sit and just be
Mm-hmm.
still. So definitely, I'm with you on the silence and just taking moments to just let your brain just think. Like, and then sometimes that's when we create our best stuff. Like when we just sitting in silence, thinking with ourselves.
Facts. Like me personally, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would say this. I do not care however much my water bill ever is, I do not care. I will sit in the shower for an hour and just think. And like I've been like this way since I was like younger. Like my mom would complain all the time, like, you in the shower too long, da, da, da. And I'm like, you don't get it though. Like I came up my clothing brand in the shower. Like I feel like certain times of silence is when I can think. Because a lot of times we look for other people for the answers to our questions, our problems, And it's like everything is really internal, but you have to take time and understand how to tune your body in, how to tune your mind into that like internal thing that like is always guiding you. Like, yeah, and that's what I'm gonna say. It's like you just have to like listen to yourself. And I feel like I pray all the time. I always say, like, God, like, fill me with your thoughts, like, and let it just flow through me. Whatever movements I'm supposed to do, just start moving me, And so, like, I see that as I start operating in just like first reaction, a lot of cool stuff happens when I just operate in first reaction. It's when I think and I sit on things and I ponder things, when I stop that momentum sometimes. But I understand that if I plan something out months ago, if I just keep going,
Eventually.
it's gonna happen, Cause I know we got off track, but I know I'm somebody who like I'll plan a whole I write real business plans, like, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll look back 6 months later and I'm like, dang, I actually did that. You know what I'm saying? But in the moment, I forget that I like planned everything out and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? So I'm re-strategizing, I'm rethinking, and then I look at the business plan, I'm like, dang, this is actually what I was supposed to do. It's just a moment in me that forgot that clarity, like, so.
I mean, I'm not super huge on like the Bible and everything, but I do know certain scriptures, and one of them is Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision, make it plain. And
Yeah.
it seemed like that's what you do a lot. And it's like it's not unintentional that you're doing it. You're writing the vision, you're making it plain, and he who runs to it, eventually you will get it. And it's like you following that principle, and it seems like that's something that's working out well for you. So definitely feel you on that. And I'm a big planner too. But I'm more of like I'm execution, like, and I'm learning to lean more into the other areas. Like I said, we kind of being well rounded. But I'm like, all right, idea. How can we do something today on it? Let's go, let's go. I ain't even waiting. I'm not waiting. Oh, I'll figure out the obstacles once I step my foot in there. Like me getting this space, it was all right. Let's get the keys. Once I got the keys, I'm like, oh shoot, I got all this other stuff.
You know what? All right, I gotta talk about that. Can you please tell me? Because that's literally what happened with me. Like I kept going and I got the keys, and then I was like,
shoot.
I was like, like I planned everything. Yeah, I knew what I was supposed to do, but then like there's little things I was like, dang, I did not think about that one. Like
Yeah. So with me, all right. So I got the keys August 18th of 2023 this year. So got the keys. My goal, I was super ambitious. Like I didn't know nothing. So again, I'm overly optimistic about what the heck I may be able to do. I'm like, got the keys. In 30 days, we're gonna open. 30 days happened. We barely had a wall up. Like we barely had, because this space was 4,000 square feet. I had to split it so that way I wouldn't have to put sprinkler systems in here due to the fire code, because I would have been able to fit over 100 people. So with the Harris County, code and everything, I'm like, okay, I don't want to have to pay for that system to put in here because I want to use that money to make this space as nice as it turned out to be. So I'm like, okay, cool. Budget in mind. All right, split this space. So we had to split the space into, now 2,300 square feet. So I'm like, cool. We had to put the big wall up and everything like that. And then we just kept uncovering issue after issue. I'm like, okay, cool, 30 days. All right. And I'm like, all right, 60 days. I set the original, which is funny. It was on the date that you had my original launch date. Grand opening was October 14th.
Mine was the first. My original launch day was the first, and
Yep.
then
Yeah.
you
See,
know,
so mine was around my birthday weekend. It was the first day of my birthday weekend was going to be the 14th. I think it was 14th or the 15th, where okay, we're gonna start my birthday weekend off with the grand opening. So my birthday
man,
October 16th. So I'm like, cool. I'm like, all right, let's go. And then as that date slowly approached, I'm like, we didn't have power. We because again, this space is brand new meter. Like nothing was existing here, so I had to do everything from scratch. When I'm talking about like getting electricity hooked up, getting the water turned, like everything. So it was like I got the space thinking everything was click 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 cool. That's all
how
I
did
gotta
you
do.
find the space?
I found the space by it's a little backstory. So I originally didn't want this space. I wanted another space off Ella Boulevard. It was way smaller, but it had a nice backyard piece because my vision was okay, little backyard parties and stuff. I can use that as a value proposition. So I'm like, cool. I wanted that space bad, but it was a pre-existing pending lease on it. The guy was on vacation, the agent. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna call you on Monday when you get back. Call him Monday morning, calling. I'm like, what's going on with the space? Like, oh yeah, they signed the lease. So I'm like, shoot. Started calling around again. Called another space that I really like. I'm like, oh my God, I love this next space. Cool. This is the one. Called and she's like, yeah, that one's actually leased. We gotta take the listing down. I'm like, all right. But she's like, no, hold on. Like, don't hang up. She's like, I hear the excitement in your voice. Oh my God, I really want to help you. Like, you sound so excited and so enthusiastic about this. What can we do to help you? Like, she's like, look, I'm gonna have my specialist, my commercial real estate specialist call you. Like, I really want to help you out. Like, older woman, like, yeah, I really like I love you. I love the way you sound on this phone right now. Like, I'm excited for you. So she sent me my agent. She ended up sending me listings like at 11 p.m. that night. I'm like, cool. All right.
I like that. I like that.
I'm like, cool. I'm like, okay, cool, bet. So I'm up till midnight looking at all 5 of them. I'm like, all right. She's like, let me know when you want. We're gonna try to schedule out the day. I'm like, okay, cool. That morning I woke up. I'm like, why would I wait to go look at these properties when I could just go drive by them all? I went in this area. One of them is funny because over there is another space that just opened, and it was the space that I looked at, and I was like, I didn't like that one at all. Looked at this one, I'm like, okay, this one has potential. Looked at the other 3 and was like, absolutely not. One was next to a liquor store. One was, I'm like, I don't want that vibe for my space. So I ended up settling on this. I'm like, okay, cool. We met the owner and everything. He walked in, gave me a great price, and then we started negotiating. But I found this by just my own online research, and eventually got my now commercial real estate agent, Shanice. She's great. And she helped me get locked into this. Great price, great terms. And then, like I said, once I got keys, I'm like, okay, cool. Was overly optimistic, and then just not hurdle after hurdle, not issue, but hurdle after hurdle, obstacle after obstacle. We just like, wow, okay, we gotta do that. Oh my God, we gotta do that too. Oh, we need that too. And just like we just kept uncovering stuff as we just kept going and making. We get one thing done, then be like, oh, that one thing was a pre-step to this other thing that you got to do. It's like,
Facts.
got you.
No, I definitely understand the reason why I asked because I didn't have a blueprint. Like there was no blueprint given about commercial real estate, commercial anything, commercial property. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna wait until somebody tells me no.
Yep.
And I just kept doing that, and then one thing after another, walls, paint, this, electricity, permit this, this, that. And I'm like, man, I wish somebody would have just told me this from the beginning. Because there's a lot of stuff I'm like, if I would have knew before I even got the keys, I could have did like stuff in advance and had everything lined up. So that way when I got the keys, it was really like, bro, I got the keys.
Yeah. I think from this conversation, what me and you could do, what we, as a business, why don't we create something to help the next person that wants to open a space?
You gotta understand. You gotta understand. There is the business blueprint. You know what I'm saying? And people will, purchase the business blueprint.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm like. There's gonna be tens of hundreds of other people that's gonna see what we do and want to do what we do. So it's like, why not help them? But of course, like you said, value proposition, because we went through the experience. You don't just get to get that for free because we didn't get it for free. We paid for it. And I'm sure we paid for it hand over fist. Like I paid for all the mistakes that I made, putting up the walls and everything and getting it all ready and then not realizing I still had too much space. I need to put more rooms. I got to put more storage to block off the amount of people per the code that can actually fit in here. So it's like, this was a much larger space than what it is right now because I didn't know no better. So I had to end up paying more when I could have cut it right or measured twice and cut once.
Mm-hmm.
I measured, cut, measure, cut, measure, cut, measure, cut. When I could have just measured, and then cut.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a measure cut. I'm
But
super
that's
measure cut.
our nature. We're going measure cut. It's like, you know, now telling this story and telling our stories is helping somebody else to be able to measure, cut. So, yeah, I mean, that for me, I mean, that's all I really have as far as, the story about how I got this and how I matriculated. I mean, if you have any other final thoughts.
Man, I would just say this was a very good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a very good conversation, and I feel like it's a breath of fresh air sometimes as an entrepreneur to speak with somebody else that's in the same boat, because it makes me know that I'm not crazy. Because I'm doing all of this. I'm doing like the same thing you're doing, and I'm like, bro, is it me or like don't nobody around know what to do but me? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like I'm not saying it makes me feel good because I get it, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, cool. Like,
I ain't the only one that went through that last night. Like
I'm not the only one. Like, so like that, it's like, dang, okay, cool. Like, and I think that's a reason why I've been wanting to even speak more, talk to people more, because somebody's gonna hear this and be like, dang, I just went through that. I want to, you know what I'm saying, talk to them. There's somebody that's right about to do the same exact things we're doing in their own way, and they need to hear, like,
at least a portion or piece of any of this that's going to help them out.
And you know, like, and even like the whole giving back the information, like, that's something I've been thinking about, like courses and blueprints and stuff like that. I have these workshops coming out. I got to release, I've had the flyers made, but I got to release it. It's called the Creator Blueprint. And I have a portion over mindset, business, how to make content, and something else. You know what I'm saying? But one of the biggest things is like the business side. And so I would love, bro, if you would love to like speak on
Absolutely,
like be able to speak on that, because there's people out there, even creative. Everything is business. You know
everything.
what I'm saying? And so like I want to be able to like give people like, all right, for
full blueprint.
These 30 minutes or this hour time you have, we're going to tell you some things business wise. Set this up, do this, make sure you focus on your accounting, do this, because if not, you're going to see at the end of the year, it's like, boom. I remember last year, bro, I've been paying business taxes for 2 years, you know? And last year I had to actually pay taxes. And I was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like,
okay. I mean, well, let's wrap it, and then let's tell people where to follow you. What's your handles? What's your pages? So that way you.
Oh yeah, so you can follow me. My personal page is at Kahlil Martin on everything: TikTok, Instagram, and for the studio page is at Kreate Studios. Kreate with a K, so Kreate Studios. And then for production company, if you need camera work, video, or you need marketing help, branding help, that's where you go at ReadySetCreate.com, ReadySetCreate on Instagram or TikTok. You know, that's where you find me.
Hit them up. Y'all heard it here. Appreciate you for stopping by,
Yes,
man.
sir. Appreciate it.